Welcome back to We Care a Lot. I'm half the podcast Mel.
I'm the other half Sam.
Hi.
Hello.
We're here again. If you weren't expecting us, I don't know why.
I don't know why you weren't. It's us.
Hi.
Every week. Sips her tea.
Literally. Okay, we'll get into the episode in a sec.
Okay.
No, we don't need to because
What are you gonna...
I was gonna do like a recap of some sorts, but we're gonna have a recap next week when you're listening to this.
Yeah, we'll give you the full rundown.
So we'll give you some rundown, but yeah, we just came across this thought that like
That we're perfect.
yeah, we're perfectly imperfect.
Yes, correct.
And I don't know about you, but I feel like when I do bad things, but like when I make mistakes, I have a really hard time accepting them, and like it almost like validates this like thing, like not that I'm a bad person, but that like
You're like not good enough.
You're not good enough
aspect.
or whatever. And I feel like it's hard to accept, but I feel that it's the most important piece of you that deserves like love and acceptance, really. Not to say that you should do those things again if you fuck something up, but it does nothing good for anyone when you're not forgiving of yourself.
Right.
So that's like the topic today is like we're perfect because we make mistakes. And there's no hiding from making a mistake. And when you do, like it doesn't go well for you.
Yeah. I feel like the more you try to hide the fact that you've made a mistake, sometimes I'll say sometimes it does work out, but other times it just exacerbates the issue, and then it's like you're like, we talked about Brooke Schofield or whatever her last name is, and how she was trying to like make excuses for the mistake she made, and it just wasn't resonating for a lot of people. Like, maybe just own up to the mistake. And in the same token, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
So she just made her mistake last a little longer by trying to hide it. But it's like accepting that we all are making mistakes and have not so pretty moments of whatever it is. It doesn't have to be like monumental, like cheating or lying, whatever it is. It could literally be like, oh, I forgot to attach that attachment to that email. Have you ever made that mistake and then your stomach drops?
And then you're like, I have to send another email saying that I
forgot something.
Like a fucking idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like admitting that you've done something wrong when you want to be perfect.
It just feels dumb when you're like, okay, you didn't fucking pay attention or whatever.
Especially over email. I don't know why it's worse over email. Like
it's worse because you feel like you've sat with the information for a minute.
Yeah.
It's not like a text that's like quick.
Mm-hmm.
You
like,
read your email.
Oh, wait, oops. There's no, oh, wait, oops.
No.
I mean, there can be.
Maybe it's like other people feel that way where like it's more of a quick communication point. But I feel like I sit there and I reread it so I don't look like a dumbass like 3 times.
I do reread emails more than anything. Especially before sending it. But then it's hard when someone's talking to you while you're writing an email and you're
I can't do it. I literally have to be like, give me a second.
And then it's still wrong.
Yeah.
And then we're like, fuck.
And then like, fuck.
Yeah, I feel like those are probably like the more common little mistakes. But they still like take a jab, especially if it like falls through whatever it was you were doing. Like, oh, never mind, I don't want to meet at all or whatever. It would have been like...
My bad.
Oh my god. Like, I just ruined something.
Absolutely not. That never fucking happens.
No, it won't. And it really doesn't. But we fear for the whole time.
But, okay. It's all shits and gigs when it's like a small little email oopsie. But even in the moments when you're like making a deep cut to somebody, like, or something, and you make a monumental mistake, there is still availability for you to remember that you can come out of that, but that doesn't mean that you're lying your way through it and not acknowledging that you fucked up. You know what I mean?
I see. The accountability piece is always going to be there.
It always needs to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that piece really helps you move into this space of like, okay, I forgive myself. And you also have to be okay with the other person not forgiving you. Mm-hmm. Because that is the biggest piece of it all, is once you've forgiven yourself, that needs to be enough for you.
Yeah, and I feel like it does no one... Does that even make sense? Does no one? Does no one any good?
Yeah, it does.
It does no one any good. Is that even a real... I don't know, guys. It does no one any good. That
sounds wrong, but it's really wrong. It's not. I don't think it is.
Is it like a double negative? It does no one any good? I don't know. Whatever. You guys know what I'm trying to say.
That's the positive. No one any good. I see what you're saying.
No one any. It does no one good.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Does no one any good.
It's not good for anyone. That's what we're gonna say. It's not good for anyone to be sitting in like guilt or shame, because then it also just like is a perpetual cycle. Because I've been there when like someone doesn't forgive themselves for something they've done to you, and then it's just like, okay, you just keep bringing up how guilty you are about the situation when I'm trying to move on from this. I'm trying to move on from the situation, you know. So it's like,
it makes it harder when you don't just like take accountability,
right,
for the other person too. Like, yeah,
it's just like it is what it is, which is really hard to say sometimes in certain situations. Like, it is what it is, especially because we just have really big feelings all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's also just like day by day, especially with big mistakes. Like, no one's asking you to like be like, oh, made a mistake, it all came out, and now I'm good because I made a mistake and I took accountability and now it's done with, or whatever, because it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't
work like that.
Yeah. It's okay to have guilt and anxiety. It's like, it's okay. It's not good necessarily to have all those feelings, but it's okay. Like, I think it's normal.
Part of the process for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a big mistake I've made. I mean, girl, like
too many. I'm not gonna give you guys a mistake. That's too juicy of tea. Juicy. I feel like with like things that I'm like remembering, mm-hmm. I feel like it becomes like, if it has to do with somebody else. I'm trying to think of like when that has to do with somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Like you've hurt someone else.
Yeah, I feel like those, it makes it a lot more difficult to move on with this other person if you, of course, like don't take the accountability, but then also like in taking accountability, the whole part about like forgiving yourself and like trying to allow yourself to move forward and loving yourself, mm-hmm. that piece isn't always just like self-love and like continue and life is good.
No,
it's like
what is it? I support women's rights and wrongs. It's not as cute and simple as that.
It's not as cute and simple, but like you have to really sit with yourself and like look at the pieces that you are like upset about and love through them. Like, not necessarily like love them, but like love through them and like figure out a way that change can be made in a loving manner where mm-hmm. you're not self-hating and deprecating, and because then at the end of the day that really just turns it back on you versus like, I mean, and it should be about you, but like let's say you're like really worried about hurting this person and you are sitting there like in your sappy self and your guilty self, like that is no one's feelings to be felt but yours. So like, do not put those feelings on somebody else because it only makes them more uncomfortable with the situation. So like, kind of sit with yourself and like, and that guilt. And
well, because I was gonna say on the opposite end of like you're saying, don't like, it's not necessarily like love like self-love is good, what's gonna like help. It's also not like the self-deprecating hatred and like negative emotions towards it. I hate to say it, but Inside Out 2, you guys, she's the prototype. You know what? I wish I had that movie as a kid.
Yeah.
She really taught me a lot. Like, you can have the belief system of I'm a good person, but also acknowledge, like, I've made mistakes, and that also makes me me.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away, like, you don't need to be like, I cheated, and now I'm the worst person in the world, and that's all I talk about. It's my personality, it's my entire thing. It's like, no, you could also have other things about you that are great and good and make you a good person and kind and whatever.
I feel like also your mistakes can really bring out the positive things in the healing process of it all.
Yeah.
Like in the example for cheating, I think that like you can really find where your loyalties are and like how you could be a better partner and how you are a better communicator or whatever. Like, I think those things can really be enhanced once you've made a mistake and you've understood like the gravity of how that felt for somebody else and for yourself. Because I feel like at the end of the day, like, that shit is just gonna run deep on your own conscious and no one else's. Like, sure, we sat here and talked about, like, cheating and being cheated on
a lot. The conversation, not being cheated on, like,
to be honest, I'm so happy to be on this side of things and detached. Not on that side, because that would be such a difficult process to come out of,
because you're coming from some sort of unhealed place when you cheat,
right?
So that's also the positive side of cheating. Here I am saying there's a positive side, but, like, the positive side for that person, because it is what it is, they did it, is that they're figuring out why and, like, what made them do that, and that is, like, part of identifying the all parts of you. And, like, yes, you did make a mistake, but what matters is, like, figuring out why and moving forward from it. And, like, if we didn't make mistakes, we would just stay the same, probably pompous ass people. We would just be like, I know everything, I know it all,
I'm so great,
right, I'm amazing, I don't make mistakes, and I'm perfect.
Yeah. I think in the same way that we, like, used to see, or, like, the way that we see, like, falling in love, and some people are, like, really scared of it, and like, we're like, just make the mistake if it's a mistake.
Yeah,
you
just
know what
make
I mean?
the mistake.
I feel like that way about all kinds of mistakes. I'm like, it really really beefs up the plot.
Not beefs up,
but, like, I'm not trying to make mistakes on purpose, but I'm like,
if it is, it is.
If it is, it is, and there's a lesson for me here. Like, you know, like,
there's been a lot of lessons in this life.
Lots.
In the same token as failing. Like, some people see failing as you made a mistake somewhere along the way.
Maybe.
And, like, I don't know, that's a weird way to think about, I wasn't even thinking about mistakes in that way, but, like, sometimes a mistake isn't a mistake, it's just what you're supposed to do in order to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Obviously shitty when it hurts other people.
Yeah.
Especially physically. But I don't know. Life's weird.
Life is really weird.
And all we can do is conceptualize as much as we can and try and feel better about it. So I feel like, yeah, some mistakes aren't necessarily a mistake, I guess. It just is.
It just is.
It's like a decision that led you somewhere.
Yeah. It maybe had some bad feelings towards it.
That missed attachment on that email led me somewhere
Led me somewhere, girl. Saved my ass somehow.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Can you think of a time where, like, you feel like you made a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake, and you've had to literally, like, accept, like, that worst part of yourself? Like, how do you feel like that translated into, like, feeling tone, and, like, how,
like, in the moment,
and, like, how did you move from it?
One example, I'm not going to explain it because it's too much juicy tea, but one thing that comes to mind, I feel like in the moment I might have known, it was something I said, and in the moment I might have known that I shouldn't have said it. It was to an ex-boyfriend, and in the moment I might have known this is a little manipulative, you shouldn't say it, but I also was like, but you're going to say it because you're in a toxic relationship and you need to be toxic back, basically. Like, you're not going to get what you want. It's
like higher you was like, you probably shouldn't say that. And then human ass you was like,
girl, bitch, say it.
I'm going to say it anyway.
Right. And so I feel like there's, like, guilt in those moments. But, like, today, I'm like, I know I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And, like, I would never do that again or say those things again. Mostly because I wouldn't be in a toxic relationship again. But in this specific example, it's a lot easier to move on from that mistake because it's like, well, I'm not that person anymore. Like, I don't even identify with that part of me because it was exacerbated out of desperation for something. You know what I mean? So it was easier to forgive.
That's so true.
Which maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm like, oh, I still caused harm to this person by saying that thing.
Yeah.
But
I think there's also the piece of, like, you now can accept that version of you because of it was, like, a situational thing. But also because you've grown from that relationship, obviously.
Yeah.
So, like, that taught you in itself. Like, you could blame so many other things on this person. Maybe that piece, though, was definitely you. And now you can be like, okay, I never want to be with someone who makes me feel... brings that out of me. And brings that out and wants to, like, make me feel that way. Like...
Yeah. And thus, like, the accountability is there.
Right.
Right. It is. But in the, like, that's why I'm saying, like, is it wrong to, like, feel better about the mistake? Because I'm like, well, it was situational. It's not who I am. Do you know what I mean? Because I guess it still kind of is.
But it still is
it's
who
still, yeah,
you
it
are.
still is.
But it's not.
But we don't know. Let's put me in a toxic relationship and see what I say.
Throw me in again.
Throw me in, coach.
And that's the piece is, like, what I'm saying. Like, you have to really accept even, like, the deep, dark parts of yourself that can arise on a very specific occasion.
Right.
And be like, you know what? I still love her because she had to do what she had to do at that point. And maybe it wasn't the right thing. And it was probably harmful to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I can't ignore that she doesn't exist. You can't ignore that she exists. You know what I mean?
She's just on silent.
She's been dormant. Like, she's in the
quiet. She's a quiet girl
up.
now. She may never come back out. We hope. Did you see that? This is random. Did you see that TikTok of this? It starts with this girl and she goes, "Hi, my name is Patience, and I was dating this guy named James," and she just proceeds to say the most horrific story. No. And then it flips. And then it goes to the guy, and he's like, "Hi, my name is James," and he says the most horrific shit.
They're talking about, like, an ex, each of them, or whatever, and then you start realizing it's, like, them two together, and you're like,
wait.
What did I just watch?
And everyone's like, y'all should break up, and they're like, we did, and whatever. But
that's kind of funny.
It's like, okay, you guys were horrible together, but
it seems like they were different versions of themselves than they are now. I hope. I don't know them.
We don't know them.
But... if that's the case, I feel like that's also even, it's like, that's so fucking crazy, though, to think that, like, they're both loving themselves through that, and then also loving each other for their past selves, and being like, we're no longer those people. That is that's strength, I gotta say.
And that's also the piece that also probably helps someone who made the mistake, both of them did in this situation, and, like, oh, I know this person forgave me.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece of, like, when the person doesn't forgive you. That's, like, a whole nother layer. Also...
do you feel like you've had a time where, like, somebody didn't forgive you for something? And you still had to move through it?
Probably, like, high school. Like, high school girl drama. I mean, other than that, it would probably be, like, really small things. Like, not life-changing. Like, I don't forgive you for... I don't know. I can't think of anything. But, like, there probably are, like, micro things that I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But... there's also probably things that are just unspoken between, like, exes that I'm like, oh, we just never really circled back on that topic.
We didn't circle back.
Because there's things I don't forgive my ex for, I guess. I don't know if I really was to think about it. Like, that you were homophobic. I don't forgive you for that. But also, it's not my forgiveness to give anymore. Like, I'm not with you. Why would I, you know?
I see what you're saying.
Does forgiveness lose its luster when you no longer are connected to that person?
It doesn't, because at the end of the day, like, forgiveness is for yourself anyway.
Right. But if it was to help the other person, I guess. Like, but like in 10 years, would whoever I've done wrong or whatever, if I went to them and said, or they've done me wrong and I said, I forgive you. Like, would it mean anything at that point? No, right?
But I think that's the piece, is because it's for yourself.
Right. So that other person could
have already moved on, or maybe they didn't. But then at the end of the day, they also have to be like,
still an empty
forgiveness. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your example? You asked me, girl.
Which one? Yeah. I can think of one that, like, has nothing specifically to do with another person, and more something that I just feel like I really fucked up on. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it was an immediate, like
I shouldn't have done that?
Absolutely. Mm. And then...
like, the moment, without giving away.
Yeah.
Like, the moment you did that, like, the action, or words, or whatever it was.
Like, when the consequence
when the consequences.
Quick.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But then, like, some people, even in that consequence, could still be like...
whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so annoying.
I unfortunately don't have that kind of consciousness, and I'm a little too self-aware up here.
Yeah.
I think I immediately went into, like, not even self-deprecating, but more, that came later. But more on the, like, I don't know who I am.
Like, if this is part of me, then who am I? If this is part of me,
who am I? Because I've never identified with any of this.
Interesting.
You know? And that was also, I think, a very hard thing to accept in myself of, like, yeah, this might be a part of you. And
like a small wake-up call, kind of.
Yeah, and for the next whatever time, like, it definitely was a constant reminder of, like, yeah, that's what you kind of are right now, and you have to, like, love yourself through this process, or else, like, who else is gonna do it? Like, no one else is gonna really forgive you for something that you did. Like,
people are probably so pissed they don't know what you're talking about. That's the tea. And that's
that's on Patreon someday. Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like I can't imagine, and I'm really interested on, like, why I immediately went into kind of that mode of, let's, like, learn to forgive. I think it was out of desperation, to be honest.
Well, if you didn't forgive yourself, then you maybe were identifying with only that piece. And if you only identified with that piece of yourself.
It's so crazy, because I feel like that really kickstarted, like, my spiritual journey, and also just, like, my journey of, not even, like, self-reflection, because obviously that's, like, not the right word, but, like, deep inner work. That mistake really brought that out, and I'm very grateful for making that mistake. But I'm very interested that, like, that's where
you went.
I let myself go, versus, like, on the opposite end of, like, a very downward spiral of, like, self-deprecation, or even, like, even worse mistakes. I don't know.
That's just who you are.
I guess
that's what came out of that mistake, because other people obviously react differently.
Yeah. That's just wild. I don't know. I feel like making mistakes just really teaches you more than, like, just the concept of whatever the mistake was. It's like there's, like, a lot that can come out from that piece. And, like, I think you have to, like, allow yourself to like, experience the mistake and forgive yourself through it, to know, like, the deeper lessons or the deeper workings that you're trying to figure out.
That's definitely the issue, I think, with a lot of people that have made bigger mistakes and then just kind of keep floating through life and change nothing about anything. And are just like, sure. Oh, we're just going to put that under the radar and, like, keep it moving. Yeah. In the exact same way. And I think you get to a point eventually where the cycle hits a point in your journey where you're like, oh, now I get it. Like, now I don't want to do that again. Like, I'm not here for this. I feel like most of the time, if you're affecting someone else, it ends up being drama. Like, that's how it manifests itself into drama in your own life. Yeah. And nobody wants that, dude.
Nobody wants no drama, please.
You want peace. And mistakes definitely brings out drama depending how you handle them.
That's fucking true.
Just thinking, like, elementary, like leaving a friend group to, like, join a different friend group. And, like, as an adult, seeing potentially kids who do that, like, I hear stories of people who have kids, and I'm just like, oh, like, it's so sad. Or, like, I don't know, you get feelings like, oh, are they the mean one, or are they, like, the not mean one, or whatever. And then now that I'm, like, grown up and I know all these people in elementary school that have or have not done this, I'm like, I feel like it really has nothing to do with that. Like, them being good or bad people. It's just being a kid and, like, figuring it out.
You're just a being, literally, like, trying to learn about yourself and the world.
I feel like I have a lot of mistakes from elementary school.
Why?
I feel like I was low-key a little bit mean. Not like a mean girl, but just, like, I didn't stand up for others when other people were being mean. Like do you know what I mean?
I
resonate. Right. There was just a lot of boys being really mean to other boys, or quote-unquote nerdy kids. And I
don't have that. I didn't have that issue. I had just, like, the girls being
girls to each other.
Yeah.
Mine, the guys were, maybe I did stand up to the guys, because I would usually be like, shh, stop or whatever. I would say shut the fuck up in middle school probably, but
damn, she pulled out the guns.
I just saw a video of this little kid. He's on top of his mom's mouth and he's going, shut the fuck up. I sent it to my family and I was like, no, this is criminal. And the mom is just sitting there like and he just goes, shut the fuck up.
That'd be my nightmare. It'd be like my inner thoughts became a child,
right,
and came out and is like on my mouth now telling me to shut the fuck up. Like, what?
And it's also the mom guilt probably is crazy. Mom mistakes, you know what I mean? It probably gets crazier.
Oh, I can't even.
It's gonna be like, oh, I should have packed them a lunch, and now since I didn't pack them a lunch, like
they're getting bullied.
They're getting bullied, or like, you know, they don't have the cool snacks or whatever. Like, there's so much.
Dude, I can't even.
Mom guilt.
I can't even think about that.
Nerp. Like, that's crazy. Even just like living guilt.
Yeah.
Like, I don't experience this with any of my friends, but like if there was to be like, oh, like, where'd you get your shirt or something, or like maybe strangers rather, like, where'd you get your shirt, and you say somewhere that's like maybe cheap, like TJ Maxx or something, and someone gives you a look like, oh,
you're like,
and it's just like, okay, like, you're not my type of person, and
that's
how
a deal.
Yeah, and that's how you take it, you know, you just move through like, you're just not my person, my type of people to be with, and that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, on a similar like what you just said of like you being not necessarily the nicest by like not standing up for people.
Oh yeah.
It just reminds, I mean, it's like I don't think like, I think you get to a point, I feel like now or maybe in this point where you really just like are more solidified as a person, so you don't really have to face these like
questions of should I, or is that the right thing?
Yeah, or even just like, okay, because I was gonna say, I don't even blame like children. Sometimes I'm like, you're a fucking little asshole. But
right,
I don't even blame them really, or us, for example, for not doing those things, because it was really survivalist type mindset of like learning about the world and not wanting to be castrated from society, which is like this like that's not the right word. Exiled, whatever.
Cast out, I don't know.
Cast out.
But I just kept thinking of
castrated. Anyway, being like the odd one out, you know, so you're just kind of, either you react in two ways.
Either you're now on the outs with this person,
or you shut up. You shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you shut the fuck up.
And you just watch it happen, or you're the person who's joining in on the fucking bullying or whatever. Like, I think in those moments, you're really like, you're learning what is acceptable and what is okay and what will make you likable. And so you kind of just like gear towards whatever that is, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that like growing up and like being in like our early 20s at the time, like I feel like, or even like 18, 19 and then the early 20s, like especially like living somewhere like LA, I feel like that's very prevalent, where like, especially with like this fucking influencer society, you tend to like take note of what people think and those things like that.
Yeah, like,
and like
what value you bring to the
and
table.
I'm like, but I fucking love shopping at TJ Maxx now. Like,
I
always did.
Sorry,
but
I
like,
love major pop stars and not your cool indie stuff. I love it too, but
I love it too.
But I love to talk about this cheesy shit.
Fuck it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like everyone kind of comes from that same place of like just trying to learn how to fit in. And not in like I want to be like everyone else, but just like, I don't want to be left out at the very minimum. And
I think that like does come down to like conversations you have with your peers and your parents and family and stuff that are like, just be who you are, and if someone doesn't like you, that's okay.
It's so hard though when
also, don't be a little dick.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't give you a pass. Don't be a little dick and say, well, that's just who I am.
I do think it's really hard to like put that into practice when you're out in the real world though. Like, it's so cute and fun and whatever when like your parent tells you that when you're a kid. But then you get thrown into the wolves, like...
But that's the thing, is like everyone is trying to impress everyone. And everyone's lying.
And everyone's lying.
We're all just like, yeah, I love the new spring fashion line. And it's like, I have no idea what it is.
I went to my spiritual center on Sunday, and the Reverend had said something about how, like, why do you care so much about what other people think? Like, when everyone's also just regurgitating the same thing. Like, they're only caring about what you think about them.
Right.
And I'm like, I sat there and I was like, is there anyone who, like, truly just feels like I'm not, like, I don't care what other people think?
Like, about me?
Yeah.
Probably not. I think there's always going to be a tinge of insecurity.
I think about all of, like, these, like, so-called famous people, or, like, even just people that I can think of, like, who are really confident. And I'm like, of course you have insecurities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, why are you...
Where are they?
Where are they? Why aren't you showing them?
Why don't you give us a taste?
I don't know. It's just interesting to think, like, you actually have insecurities. That's wild.
Yeah. I think it's, like, not necessarily, like, hiding them, but just, like, knowing that part of yourself doesn't have to be what you lead with. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, it feels hidden.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah. Like, if you want to talk about it, we talk about it. But I'm not going to be like, oh, don't look at my bangs because they're so ugly today. Like, we don't have to lead with that.
We don't have to lead with it.
We don't.
That's
mistakes, haircuts. So many haircuts.
Currently. No tea, no shade to our hairstylist. You did a great job. I think I made a fucking bad decision on how short I was supposed to go. I felt ballsy, and I regret it.
Like, is it even that short? How long ago was this? Like
before Coachella.
Okay, well, it's in a ponytail, so it's really hard to tell, but I don't think it's short anymore.
It's, like, up to here. It's, like, above my boob.
Now.
Yes, I think I cut it, like, here.
Yeah,
so I guess it has grown, like, 2 inches, 3 inches.
The girl has, like, 4. That's a lot.
Not 4. That's 3.
Okay, we'll say 3.
Anyway, we just saw a picture of my hair.
And it was 3 more inches longer.
Shut the fuck... No, it was not. It was down to my hip. Where'd it go?
You cut it.
Fuck off. Shut the fuck up.
You cut it, and that's okay. You were going for the Bella Hadid short bob, and it was giving. You just didn't like it as much as you thought you would.
But then I look at those pictures of my hair, the long hair, and I'm like, you look so young. You don't even, like, look.
What were you trying to... You were trying to go for older with the short, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Dead.
Bring me back.
You said that was what I was going for, but
I don't know. I felt like the long hair couldn't do anything with it, and then the short hair, I was like, I also
the long
can't
just
do anything
feels
to it.
like
I feel like I just need
drabby.
To stick with, like, middle length.
Do mid length, lots of layers.
Yeah.
So it feels
like it's doing things
bouncy or something.
Anyway,
my mistakes are more related to bangs, picking up a pair of scissors on my own. Mostly middle school times.
Oh, the
swoop.
side sweep?
Yeah, just gone too short.
I was really good at that.
I got better. This was 6th grade, before photos. I don't know what I was thinking.
Why were you doing
so
that?
Then we went for the bump it instead because the bangs were too short.
The bangs were too short.
Anyways, lots of mistakes with haircuts.
Here's a big one, yeah.
Learned a lot. But little or small the mistake, you learn something.
Yeah. I think, like, whether you're saying things that you feel like are a mistake, you're dating people that you feel like are mistakes, whatever the mistake is, I think, first and foremost, there's, like, the honesty piece of, like, not only being honest with that person that you may be hurt or whatever, but being honest with yourself as well with, like, that actually did happen. And then comes the self-acceptance piece of, you know what? Yeah, I fucking did that. And I now have to sit with all the feelings that came with that and love yourself through that experience and not allow the negative feelings to take over everything. I think it's okay to feel an ounce of guilt. I think it's okay to feel an ounce of shame or whatever. Like, those feelings are important, but I don't think that there necessarily that doesn't have to be the thing you lead with.
Like I said, confident people not leading with the ugly haircut they have, they're not calling attention to the mistake.
They said the rest of me is perfect.
Literally, you just gotta own it. And, like, we all inherently know no one's perfect, so, like, it's just interesting that even though we all know, like, online nobody's perfect, blah blah blah, they all have hard days, but then you see something online where it's like, they just come off so perfect, like, all they show is their perfect little life, blah blah blah, blah, whatever, and it's like, what do we expect from people? Like, what, you want me to tell you a life story and then you'll know I'm not perfect? We just know I'm not.
I think there's just too much perceiving.
Lots of perceiving.
There's just too much of it. Like,
yeah.
social media is great. I think there's also such the piece of like, I don't need to know about everyone's life, and it sucks that now this is how we function, where I have to see it every day, but like, I don't think we were meant to see each other this much. That's a mistake.
Respectfully unfollowed.
I wish I only got like a tidbit of you, a little, this is what I'm doing today.
Like a once a month in feed post, and then like a couple stories a day. Yeah. Max. I know.
We should just all go back to like MySpace days where you like put your
status?
Your status.
With a song.
Chilling, you know? Chilling.
I keep seeing my Facebook ones. I don't know. I think I keep getting like notifications. I'm trying to make them go away.
You remember this? Yeah.
And then I see them and it's like the most dramatic statuses or whatever. I'm like, today's the day and you know it. And I'm like, okay, girl. I'm like, okay, who do I know is what's happening tonight?
Yeah, I was giving like inspiration. Girl, what?
You said?
You know, I was really trying to, I think, inspire myself, first of all. I think I was trying to fake it till I made it, you know?
I feel like big things can happen. It's just like, who are you talking to, babe?
The void.
And I'm just thinking of my parents seeing it like...
Thankfully, they didn't follow me at the time.
Okay, no idea what's happening to this girl. Mistake having social media at a young age.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But was it? I lived.
But you know what?
Live,
my
laugh,
iconic
love.
Photo will always be there.
Yeah, exactly. Photo bucket for life. Even though they keep emailing me saying they're going to get rid of my account. I'm like, you've been saying this for years.
Like, get rid of it, girl.
Yeah, like, bye.
I used you in years. Good times.
Anyways, all this to say, if you've made a mistake, as I'm sure you have, it's okay. Just take accountability, move through it, and it literally doesn't make you the worst person alive. It doesn't.
It doesn't. If you want to see somebody make a really bad mistake, go watch Worst Person in the World. She gets through it. Movie. And she loves herself through it, actually. That's a really great movie.
That is. That's a good recommendation for this. If this episode resonated with you.
It's a good one.
Maybe we say we're the most perfect people in the world. That's the title of this episode.
Yeah, that's kind of good.
Yeah, that kind of
greatest people in the world.
Greatest people in the world.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Smash it. And if you are on any other platform like Apple or Spotify or Amazon, I think we're on there. I don't know. Make sure that you follow our page on here. And if you can, turn on your notifications if that's a possibility. And don't forget to engage with us on our socials. It's at We Care A Lot Pod. And if you need any of those things, they'll be probably in the description. And if not, you'll find them somewhere.
You'll find it on We Care A Lot Pod.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys in glowing hours.